guys, this is basically like my test stream, but nonetheless, I want to thank you guys before I probably forget to even show up to the stream. I didn't tell anybody about it or anything like that. I appreciate you guys' patience with me, and I will definitely do the best I can. Thank you, Psycho Kensho. Hi, Brandon, I see you there. You can hear me? That's good. So the first part of this stream is actually, I don't know if you guys heard me, but I'm going to be going over some advice-related things. As you know, I feel very strongly about, relationship dynamics and breakups and things. So I definitely want to make this stream about that. Am I looking at the camera? Do you guys see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I found here that someone had posted was I broke NC. And before I go over this, I don't want to share their name, but NC is basically a program or a concept actually, where when you go through a breakup of any kind, you completely cut off contact with the person until you are able to, with a clear head, go back and sort of attack the problem in a better way. So I don't know if you guys have ever had breakups or anything like that, but I'm sure if you have, you remember that time when you contacted them and it felt really bad. And the reason is because a lot of times when people have breakups, it's a breakup for a reason. There's a problem of some kind in the relationship, and it's usually not talked about. Unfortunately, it's unspoken. But once you have that breakup, doing something like this concept of going no contact has worked for so many people. It's hard in the beginning, but it has worked for so many people. And the reason that it works is because when you have distance from the relationship, from the feelings that you were experiencing, and from basically yourself, in a sense, you distance yourself from that whole situation, you can look at it much more clearly and go through the stages of grief. Sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, it depends on the person, but going through those stages of grief is so important to do. And a lot of us, experience those stages of grief differently. This person here on Reddit has basically said, I called my ex after a week of no contact. He didn't answer. I saw him on social media. I expected him to at least call me back, so that was my last tiny bit of hope. It's over. I could almost imagine what he was thinking. This is for anyone who is thinking about breaking no contact. Imagine them not answering and ignoring it, and the satisfaction they feel knowing they get to do that. I'm regretting calling, but all of this just gets me closer to moving on. I kind of want to crawl into a hole and hide. I can't believe I let my emotions carry me back to day one. This idea of contacting our ex, all of us have this, all of us experience this. Yes, hi Panthera, thank you so much. Hi Ray. Oh, yes. Oh gosh, yeah, that's a good idea. But I don't want to watch the YouTube tutorial while I'm trying to do the stream. So I basically went into the advice portion, and I'm hoping for the best. But I promise the next time I will have the chat on the screen. Okay, check Discord. Okay, give me a second, guys. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry about this. I am learning as I go, and I promise whatever I learn, I will pay it forward. Panthera, thank you so much. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I actually made this outfit to play Back for Blood. My tights, which you guys can't see because I'm sitting down, they say Back for Blood, and the back of my jacket says Back for Blood too. But yes, so what I was saying about this situation with no contact is oftentimes we have relationships and we have these breakups, and then we're like, I want to contact them, I want to reach out to them, because you've spent every single day with this person, right? You're so used to just being, with that person. It becomes a habit in our lives, almost like an addiction is what breakup is. It's like a small death or getting over an addiction. You have all this time with them. So one of the things I hope to achieve on this channel is helping people with those, going through those kind of relationship dynamics, as well as people who are in abusive relationships, or people who have experienced abuse at work, especially women. A lot of women are experiencing a lot of objectification at work, and they're getting demotions and all these kinds of things. So I definitely want to talk about that in my future streams. As I said, for tonight's stream though, because I still don't know how to even put the chat on the screen, I'm most likely going to do 30 minutes of this relationship advice. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Though I'm not a therapist yet, I am planning on becoming one and studying for that. So I will do the best that I can, but always, use your due diligence. And also, after that, I will have a short time of streaming the Back for Blood beta. And I will be also making a beat in Fruity Loops Studios. I'm happy to share my knowledge with you as I've just learned certain things in Fruity Loops Studio. And I'm really about, sharing whatever I learn with other people. So, we only have a little bit of time on this planet, and my goal is to spread as much wisdom and as much love as I can before I die. So, yeah, that's basically why I'm here, why I came to Twitch. And so how about you guys? Do you have any questions, or anyone that going through situations like these which I mentioned that you think could use some advice? Yes, Ray, I definitely want to have a place for people to talk. We have this, and you guys can type it to me and I can read it. So this person says, should I go no contact if we only broke up due to one of us wanting kids and the other one not? Breakup was amicable, calm, and rational. No harsh words were exchanged. We both cried, and it was difficult but mature. I want kids, he doesn't. Otherwise, the relationship was great. I don't want to lose him entirely and would love to have him as a friend. Should I go no contact? In this situation, I would say still yes. I wouldn't say it would be a permanent no contact, as with some abusive relationships you do have to go full no contact. But in this person's situation, OP, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so to the OP, I would basically say you should have no contact for a period of time, just for you to get through the grief stages and the healing stages, until you feel more comfortable to start dating somebody else, basically. The fact that somebody wants kids and the other person doesn't, I don't think those kinds of relationships work. So I definitely think that their breakup was actually a good idea in this case, because something like having kids or not having kids, if you have a difference in that opinion, being together is only going to get worse over time, as the desire for having kids, I'm assuming this is a female or a male, I don't know, she says she wants kids, he doesn't. So in this case, yeah, that desire is only going to grow more, and they're going to have more and more differences, even for the one reason of having kids. Yes, things like having kids, or religion, or politics, those kinds of differences can sometimes be worked through, but many times they can't. And sadly, as much as the two people may want to stay together, she was obviously in a safe relationship. She wasn't in an abusive relationship. Yes, everything was fine with them, and they didn't have, it seemingly from what she said, other issues. But the fact of her wanting kids and him not wanting kids, unless there was going to be coming a time where he finally did want kids, it was going to be an issue for them. It would be a big issue for them. Should she lose him entirely? No, I don't agree with that. I think she should keep him as a friend. But still going no contact doesn't mean she never talks to him again. No contact is for you for a period of time as the person who has been broken up with, as well as the person who is doing the breakup. In this case, she's the person doing the breakup. I don't think there's, black and white, good and bad in this type of situation. This is something where she can go no contact for a short period of time, and then they can reconnect in the future if he wants to. Obviously, it's up to him if he wants to talk to her after they broke up, and also if she still wants to over time that has passed. That would be my advice on that one. What do you guys think? Have you experienced something like this? Censored, I see you. Thank you for coming, Censored. I'm happy to see these names. I remember all of you from my debut. Does she really need to go no contact even when he said she would like to keep a friend? Here's the thing. I agree with you that maybe she doesn't need to go no contact. That's obviously a personal choice for her. But if she wants to keep him as a friend, she needs to get into the point where him and her are not seeing each other as a romantic relationship, and to have him as a friend. And the only thing that does that is time. Yeah. I hope that was helpful. Okay. Abusive Ex by the OP. This person says, I escaped an abusive relationship 1.5 years ago and went to a safe house. It was physical, emotional, and financial abuse. I went no contact permanently. I can't block emails, only send them to spam. But I looked in my spam folder by mistake, and my abusive ex has been sending me emails almost on a daily basis. Some are pleads to take them back, false promises, the next day, accusations, name-calling, attempts to manipulate me, gaslighting, etc. Anyway, this behavior is very weird. Has anyone else experienced this? It's been 1.5 years. For all they know, I'm dead because I haven't responded. Why would they keep messaging me this long without a response? I've looked into filing a restraining order, but in my state, I don't meet the qualifications because they weren't threatening my safety in emails. I'm sorry, but that's a dumb rule. And I've been out of the abusive relationship too long. Some state laws are stupid. I agree with OP on this. The reason the abusive ex is most likely still contacting OP is literally because they have become obsessed. And sometimes when we have abusive relationships, not only are we obviously dealing with somebody who's abusive, but someone who is mentally just unstable, and I'm not going to say crazy because I don't love that word, but just mentally unstable. Basically, they've lost their way somewhere along the line, and they've now clung to this idea of their past with this person. They've refused to let go, and they've become obsessive. I agree that this person should be able to file a restraining order, and unfortunately, for whatever reason in their state, they're not able to. That reminds me, note to self, I should look up if in my state it's possible to have a restraining order, because I think it's important to know if every state has that. But this person has been out of the abusive relationship. They've clearly moved on. They went no contact because this person was abusing them every way possible. And basically they want to know, why the hell are they still contacting me? So in this case, I would say literally, it's because they're mentally unstable. They should probably never go back to that spam folder. I think they should clear it out, if anything, and just assume that this person is mentally unstable, obviously dangerous, and should not. Yeah, it is a tough spot for OP. It's a really tough spot. Especially after a year and a half. I mean, think about it. A year and a half of being broken up with someone, and they're still contacting you. They're still basically, talking to themselves and projecting onto you, all these things. Who knows what some of these, emails from them have said. But definitely, I think for OP and anyone else out there that's in this situation, that is the behavior of someone who is mentally unstable. You can still love them, but you can love them from afar. You don't need to love people, every single person, up close. Some people are not safe to love. Some people are not the best people for you to be around every single day. In the case of this person, thank goodness OP was able to, see that and move away from that. Some of us can't. Some of us are still stuck. Some of us still have, issues with not even understanding why we're being treated a certain way, or not even knowing that we are being treated a certain way because it's been normalized for us in movies and advertisement and video games. So, good on OP for getting out of this situation. What advice would you guys give? Have you guys been in a similar situation? Thank you, Psycho Kansha. Mm-hmm. This happens to all of us at one point in our lives. There's no sense in, being judgy about it. No judgments from this. Because I have definitely been there. I've been in abusive relationships myself. Yes, they have. And that's something, Sleepless Rambles, that I try to open people's eyes to. So many abusive behaviors and really just disrespectful and dangerous behaviors have been normalized as romantic to us, which is really scary. What people have come to believe is quote-unquote love. You grew up in you've been used to it? Yeah. Learning about it is the first step. To just having that awareness is literally the first step to changing it in your own life and others' lives. I actually have heard about that's a manga, right, Ray? Who's the main character? I forget his name, Killing Stalking. But Killing Stalking too is very much romanticizing in the manga, this basically narcissistic, borderline personality, antisocial behavior. Yeah, Yunbum and Sangwoo. Yeah, their relationship is highly abusive. There's nothing remotely cute or sexual about that relationship. And I'm not going to go into 50 Shades of Grey in this particular stream, but I will talk about that in another stream, as well as touch on Sangwoo and Yunbum, because it's a similar thing. That romanticization has literally led us into so many relationships that we probably wouldn't have been in if we were taught about abuse and what it is, what it looks like. And that's why I'm here. That's why I have come to Twitch. I would say a lot of my relationships were abusive and other things. Yeah, that's something that is literally normalized, and not a lot of people want to point the finger and say, only men are abusive, or certain sexes are more abusive than others. But no, as children, literally all of us. Hi, Jupiter. Hi, thank you. I haven't started Back for Blood yet. But right now I'm talking about abusive relationships, and how Sleepless Rambles covered that they have been normalized for us, and stalking behaviors. I don't know if you have read Killing Stalking manga, but Ray was touching on that too. So if you want to join in the conversation, stay for a little bit. So yeah, basically these types of relationships have been romanticized for us, and then we get into them thinking, that it's going to be romantic, and then it's something else entirely in reality. It looks very different in reality. I could go over countless movies that have been made that make it seem like okay to be stalked, or it's okay that someone is constantly breaking your personal boundaries or disrespecting your personal boundaries, as well as stories, fantasy stories, and games. I mean, it's terrible. And not only that, but that has permeated our in America, because I can only speak about America, our American home lives. And I'm not saying everyone has experienced abuse, or in their homes and things, but many of us have. And since it was from childhood, we were raised just thinking that this is a normal thing, or this is how we're supposed to be treated. And then we get into relationships as adults, from that same pattern of what we learned as children. We have attractions to people who are not safe for us, who are not good for us, and those relationships lead us to be unhappy. And then we don't know why, but we're literally reliving a pattern of our childhood. We're literally going through the same action over and over again. Different people, the person changes, but the dynamic of the relationship, the way the relationship makes us feel, it's the same. It's the same as our childhood, younger relationships. Safe to say a majority of us has been. Yeah, I agree with you, buddy Esme. That's exactly it. And that normalization for us, not just stalking, as Sleepless said, but abuse in general, verbal abuse. Many of us are being used to being called names. Many of us have been conditioned to be used to being pushed around, or told what to do, or defined in some way from childhood, from how our parents treated us, from how our teachers treated us, from what media told us. And all of this leads us in our adult lives, especially the unawareness, because awareness frees us from that. We can literally break free from those chains as adults by simply becoming aware. And that's what I hope so much, I hope to do for everyone I meet, is share all of the experience I've had, and all the knowledge that I've learned, and frankly all the mistakes that I've made, in order to help others so that it will free them. Well, first I had to find out that I was being abused, because I didn't know I was. Like many people, I was under the impression this is just how life's gonna be for me. I'm probably never going to truly be accepted, or truly be loved, or truly be understood. And I just accepted that. And I had this giant mask over my face of, false happiness and false bravado. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Psycho Kensho. and that mask led me to be so unhappy, because underneath I wanted to take that mask off. Underneath I wanted to truly be myself and truly express and speak the things that were happening to me, and to understand the things that were happening to me, but I didn't. So I worked hard, I smoked weed, I drank, I tried all kinds of drugs that I could. I threw myself into music as an escape, and creating music as an escape, so that I would be able to make something of myself and finally have the love that, I didn't get as a child. And when I was growing up, I was like, well, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be famous, and then everybody's going to love me, and then I won't have to worry about anything. But what I learned along the way of trying to be famous, and basically having more abusive relationships and further hurting myself, no matter how famous I became, I was more and more and more unhappy. Until I got to the point where I started to look into what was making me unhappy. And a lot of it was external forces. A lot of it was, my abusive relationship at the time, and my boss, who was also abusive, and so on and so forth. But it wasn't until I had to take a full step back and lose all of my pride that I was able to come to the understanding that I have a choice in this. I'm letting this happen to me. And part of why I was letting it happen is because I didn't know, which is what I want for you guys. I want you to know. Because after I found out and I learned what was happening, then I was able to go on the long journey of self-actualization and self-discovery to get myself out of that situation, to stop those things from happening by looking at my own choices. What kind of guy I was attracted to was one of the reasons why I was being abused. What kind of job I was looking for, and accepting less pay than what I was worth. I didn't even think at the time, because I grew up in an abusive environment, and it destroys your self-esteem to have a parent who does drugs or is an alcoholic. These types of early dynamics set us up for the kind of life that I was living. Yeah, on the outside I seemed happy, and I seemed like I may have had it all together, but I didn't have it all together. So I say that to say this. Once I started looking into why I was making the choices I was making and what I was experiencing, I became more and more free. I hope that answers some of your questions, Psycho Kansha. When I became self-aware was the moment when I realized my life was repeating a pattern with every single person that was in my relationship. Every single person gave me the feeling that I had in my younger life. But I didn't know that at the time. And you don't know that until you actually start to look at your life. And a lot of us spend time running away from our life. We spend time running away from ourselves, using, like I did, using drugs, using alcohol, using whatever we can find. Even in one case, I was using anime, just to get away from the truth. And the funny thing is that after I've learned all of this and decided to share it with the world, I don't want to run away from the truth, which is why my VTuber is not, a little pet thing or a fantasy idea of mine or some kind of other extension of what I want it to be. I am all 100% myself, because I'm no longer running away from the truth of who I was, who I became, and who I want to be. I've found that person, and I, from awareness, want to share that with other people. The awareness part. Not necessarily all of who I am. But I digress. Now to ask you guys, do you feel like what I just told you would enable you to share something personal about yourself? Or would make you want to share something personal about yourself that maybe you don't get to share in other places? Maybe you feel like no one is out there listening to you. Or maybe you feel like no one will care what you share. I'm here to tell you, I care. I would like to know. And if I can, like I said, I'm not yet a therapist, but if I can, using my experience and the things I have learned, which are so valuable and literally life-changing, I would like to help you with those things. And I'm here for that. I'm looking at the chat right now to see if you guys have said anything. I hope this share, I imagine these kinds of shares will scare people away. And I'm okay with that. It may also bring trolls, but I'm okay with that too. And I will get off of this page so we can look at the others. Yes, I experienced that too, Ray. I was exactly in that situation. And that was literally like, that's right up there with salary, right? Because when you go for a job, it does bring so much anxiety. And just the fact that you feel like you have to earn people's time and they only want to be around you if you're making it quote unquote worth it for them, that's something that literally comes from our parents. Your parents. I don't know which one because we haven't talked in depth, but that is literally something that our parents have pushed onto us. Not all parents did this purposely. Some parents did. I'm not going to lie to you. Some parents have done this to you purposely, but many parents haven't. They literally were little kids like us also, and they themselves had those experiences with their parents. So they didn't know that they were doing that to you, but they were doing it out of their own experience. Literally, we pass this kind of, excuse my French, little ones, shit onto our own kids because we don't know why we've experienced what we experienced. And Ray, with your situation, you are going to learn. I'm happy to talk more with you about this because I have literally read books on this subject. But you're going to learn that once you find your own worth outside of all the things you've been told as a child, outside of all the things that people have shown you as a child, when you get to the point where I got, where you no longer have that fear holding you down, you will be a totally different person. And you can pass that love, self-love that you have onto other people in your lives in the future. Because all of us one day are going to inspire or speak to others who are younger than us. And we have the chance to teach them different things than what we learned from our parents. But we can only do that if we're unafraid. We can only do that if we're willing to throw off the shackles and change ourselves one day at a time. When you're redacted, you're a open book, painful ones, but you know what? That's actually, that may work for you, buddy Esme, and I think that's a good idea. I don't think there's anything wrong with, having that one side of you that's open to sharing and another side that's more personal. I think that wherever you are in your healing, and yes, YB, of course it's okay. It's great to see you, by the way. I loved our stream the other day. It's okay for you to ask a question. But Esme, what I was saying is it's okay that you have those separate sides to you. At one point, those sides in your freedom are going to come together. And you're going to be able to not only be that other person and express those things, but be yourself fully and express those things. And that's what I want for you. That's why I'm here. That's literally why I'm on Twitch. Check this out. And this is another reason why I'm here, is I am no longer emotionally abused. I am no longer mentally abused, and I'm definitely no longer physically abused. I have literally, and this is why I feel like I am one of the people who should do this, is I have literally been in that situation, gotten out of it, learned from it, and have studied it so much that I literally can help other people to get out of it, and other people to become aware, and other people's lives to change. I have literally come from being physically, emotionally, sexually, and mentally abused. And I can safely say that's not my life anymore. I don't do that anymore. And why do I say I don't do that anymore? Because it's both of us. Yeah, we find abusive people. And yeah, they're gonna try to abuse us. But the difference is, are we gonna allow it? Or are we gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna become more aware about this subject. I'm gonna learn about this subject. And I'm gonna cut this shit out of my life. I'm gonna stop this from happening by taking responsibility for just my little part, my own choices. Did this person abuse me? Yes. Did this person mean to abuse me? It doesn't matter. What does matter is, did I stay with this person? Could I leave this person? Do I want to keep doing this? What is your choice in it? And you have, believe it or not, a lot of choice. You have so much choice. And the greatest part of that freedom is finding out that you have a choice and recognizing, maybe I do have a choice, because this person did it. This person, even though maybe I don't know them, and you may not know me as well right now, but I'm pretty much an open book. I'm always willing to share this information. And I'm literally online to share this information. This is my job before I die. This is my only purpose. Other people have other reasons why they do things. This is mine. This is my purpose. Not everybody can say, I know what my purpose is. I'm going to walk in my purpose. Many people are happy to just forget about their purpose, or not think about it, or slowly inch their way to their purpose. And either way, when you get to your purpose, it's wonderful. However you get there. But I've found mine, and that's why I'm here. And I'm here to say, YB, no. I no longer am being emotionally, mentally, sexually, or physically abused. And the reason is, I changed my life. The information that I'm here to give you guys, and here on Reddit, where I first started. Reddit was my initial place where I was giving people life-changing information that changed their day, their week, and their month, and their lives. So I decided to bring that to Twitch. I want to do that for as many people as I can possibly before I die. That is the reason that I'm here. The information that I can share with you can literally change your life. I can take you, if you will allow me to share information with you, and if you're willing to look inside yourself and my hands are up. You guys can't see it because I don't have my leap motion, but I'm literally pleading. If you will allow me to share information with you, I will literally give you all the pearls of wisdom that I have gotten from my own life, from my own learning, from my own therapy, from my own experience, to save yours. Or someone you know. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's somebody you know. If it is, I know you don't want to see them doing that to themselves. I know you don't want to see them living their life that way. And maybe they don't think that they have any choice. That's why they are living their life that way. They literally don't know that they have a choice. They don't. You can't hate somebody for not knowing something. You can't hate people for being ignorant about a thing, especially if you're not willing to open their eyes to something like that. Some people don't want their eyes opened. Love is accepting that. Loving your friends and your family, or even just people you meet, truly loving them is accepting, hey, I don't want my eyes opened. Okay, they don't have to have their eyes opened. But there are those out there who do. And those are the people that I'm here for and that I want to help. With that particular part of my stream. Which I have to tell you guys, it's better that I say this now, my first solo stream. All of my streams are going to generally be on these heavy type of topics. How do you know if you're being emotionally and mentally abused? Are there signs? Yes, there are many signs to look out for. One of the things that I would say to start with is if you often have situations with that person where you're feeling sad or defensive. Sometimes when we are being emotionally abused, we either get quiet and we isolate. Other times we have the feeling that we want to run away and we want to get away from that person. Other times we feel like we have to defend ourselves, or we're not good enough so we can't defend ourselves. Oh, this is just how this person treats us, so we accept that. But the thing is, when you're being emotionally or mentally abused, the person who's abusing you is one of two kinds. They either know what they're doing, and they're doing it on purpose. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, but that's the truth. Or the second kind, which is they have also grown up in an environment like you, but became the opposite. And what I mean by became the opposite is that as victims of abuse, when we're children, we take two roles. We decide, I'm going to be the perpetrator and nobody's going to do this shit to me ever again, in which we unfortunately take the role of becoming the abuser as we grow. Or we take the victim role, which is, I deserve all of this. I don't even know why, but I deserve this. Something must be wrong with me for this to be happening to me. I must have done something wrong for this to be happening to me. If the person that you're spending your time with makes you feel one of these two ways, you are being emotionally and mentally abused. Because that didn't start in your adulthood. It starts in your childhood. And I don't care if you're 16 watching this stream or 14. It started way before that. So, to me, you're an adult. Why? Because you can still make some decisions. You can still make some choices. And one of those choices is, this person makes me feel this way. I don't want to be around this person. I'm not going to be around this person. If you're having those feelings of low self-worth, questioning yourself, second-guessing yourself, feeling scared, feeling like you need to isolate after being with that person, or feeling bad about the things that they say to you or have done to you, you are being emotionally and mentally abused. You feel this, Tristy? That's the thing. You're not the only one. And there's nothing wrong with the role that you took. And this is an unpopular opinion. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get mad at me about this. But even if you took the abuser role, even if you became the abuser, there's nothing wrong with the role that you took, in the sense that you chose to take one role because you were a child. You were powerless, right? You felt powerless. So you were like, I'm never going to... Even Psycho Kensho shared, in that situation, they took the role of abuser. They became the abusive one because they were like, I'm never going to experience this again. I'm never going to let this happen to me. Now I'm bigger. I'm older. It doesn't matter if you say this at 10 or 15 or 25 or 52. Age is... This thing about abuse is ageless. It literally has no age. It spans generations. Your own parents treated you that way because they literally were treated that way. They don't know that, of course, and you probably will get shit for just telling them that, because they have to come to their own conclusions that we are literally coming to right now, which is what I'm talking to you guys about. Okay, Ray, you do have a point there. But keep in mind, if you're saying taking the abuser role and being aware of it is not okay, you're right. But here's the other part of taking that abuser role. They don't know why they're taking that abuser role. And when they become aware of it, you're not just dealing with an abusive person, but you're also dealing with somebody who is literally sadistic. And that is a different thing than being the abuser or being abusive. Having a mentally unstable condition where you physically want to abuse others and you get pleasure out of abusing others, that's not okay. I agree with you, Ray. I do. When someone in that situation becomes aware of it, though, they can make a choice whether they're going to change it or not. But guess what? That's not up to you, the victim. That's not your problem. And that leads me to the point of freedom, because that other person can remain abusive if they want to. And they might. You cannot change that other person. The only people that we can control, this is what I learned also in my time about self-introspection, is that the only person you can control or change or fix is literally you. It's freeing and it's frustrating at the same time, right? It's frustrating because we have all these people in our lives that we care about and we love to change them, even just a little, to help them. But you can't. What you can do first, always, Ray, Tristy, YB, Esteem, Sleepless, this literally applies to all of you, is focus on you and your changes, what you can still do, what you still have control of. Because no, taking the abuser role is not okay, especially if you're choosing it as an adult. I'm talking about children who have grew up to become abusers and still do not know why they are abusing, why they're lashing out physically instead of using their voice, or why they raise their voice at us, why they yell. Some people don't know why they yell. They literally don't know. They just grew up that way, right? Well, that's just the way I grew up. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, if you think there's nothing wrong with yelling and pushing people around when you get mad, that's your choice. My choice is I'm not going to be around you when you're behaving that way. That's the difference between being the victim as an adult and being the victim as a kid. We didn't have a choice. None of us, all of us, wanted to not experience that. But as an adult, we can have a choice. We can choose the way for us. But you cannot choose if you don't even know that you're being abused. And all of my streams will touch on this, and all of my videos, especially my YouTube videos, will be in-depth versions of my streams, because I'm literally going to give you the signs of how you can tell you're being mentally abused and emotionally abused or sexually abused or physically abused or even being objectified as a female. Women on Twitch, all over Twitch, are being objectified daily and they don't even know it. And they don't want to go on stream. They feel sick. They get stressed out. They have these feelings, but they don't know why they have these feelings. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, it's probably because you're being objectified. You're not being seen as a person. You're not even being seen as a gamer. This hurts all of us, all women, in a grand scheme of things. The media having these, middle commercials where you're on your mobile phone and you're watching a commercial and you see somebody beating up a woman or shooting a woman. This takes a mental toll on women, on men also, on all of us. And no one is talking about this. No one is touching on these things. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I have taken it upon myself, because I see it. I see it all. I've taken it upon myself to come here and to talk about those things. And I want to talk about that with you guys. Ray mentioned something very interesting, that it is not okay for them to take the abuser role. And I agree with that. But the thing is, there's a big difference between becoming the abuser and still being unaware of why you're being abusive, and choosing the abuser role as an adult to actually physically hurt people, whether it's mentally, with quote-unquote jokes, insulting people, putting people down. All of this is verbal abuse. And people will tell you, I'm just joking. Lighten up, right? I'm just joking. We hear that all the time. People saying fucked up things to us, I'm just joking. Well, it wasn't that funny since we weren't laughing. So who's the joke for? The joke is for them. And why? To feel better. For whatever reason, that person who's making the joke feels bad about something about themselves. Now that's something we can all relate to. We all carry this stuff around with us. All these feelings, all these experiences. Collectively, it has led to a lot of violence in our lives. And that violence has become so normalized that you don't even see it as violence anymore. Does that make sense? Yeah. And you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. No matter what you've heard, no matter how old you were, no matter how old you are now, you don't deserve it. And the only thing that you need to literally change that is awareness. Awareness. Knowing what's happening to you, when it's happening to you, and staying aware of how you're feeling. If you're in a situation with someone and hanging out with someone that's making you feel a certain way, you having the awareness will give you the strength to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to be with this person now. I'm going to leave. I don't want to deal with this. And then, as you become stronger, because it is a muscle. Have you guys ever worked out in the gym? Do any of you guys work out or ever known somebody who lifts weights and was first starting? Yeah, you remember when you lifted those first weights, how freaking heavy they were? They were super heavy. It was super hard. But as you kept lifting, maybe that week, maybe the 2 weeks after, or the 3 weeks, it became easier to lift, right? Saying no, or saying, hey, don't talk to me that way, or I'm not going to accept this treatment, that's a muscle. And it's a muscle that you get to learn how to use and that you can make stronger. And by the time you get to the level that I have gotten to now, you are going to feel so free. There is literally not going to be any situation that you're in that you're going to be like, I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know why I'm being treated this way. I don't understand this person. Because you're going to get to the point where you're going to be like, I don't need to understand this person. I don't like this. I don't like how they're treating me. And I'm not going to be this person's victim. That kind of strength is what I want for all of us. Children, men, women. It doesn't matter who. Non-binary. I don't care what you call yourself. You deserve to have that level of self-awareness so that you can free yourself from the shackles. And those shackles are on us every single day. They're trying to shackle us every day. It doesn't matter if you're at school and being bullied. It doesn't matter if you're at work and you're trying to get a raise. It doesn't matter if you're at home and you're not appreciated and you feel unappreciated by your kids, by your wife, by your husband, by your family members. This awareness is what leads to freedom and self-love. A lot of us don't have that. We don't have self-love. You know why we don't have that? Because we've literally been taught not to love ourselves. We've been taught we're not worth loving. And I don't care who you are out there, but if you have been growing up in an abusive situation or with an addict parent of any kind, you have been taught that you are not worth loving. And you believed that as a kid, and you have been carrying that secretly, of course, because we all wear the mask, right? We're all wearing the mask. Secretly, you've been carrying around this quiet truth. To you, that's the truth. But it's not actually true. It's not. It's literally just something that you've been taught, which means you can unlearn that thing. But you can't unlearn it as a kid. You know why? Because you didn't know. You didn't know about it. You didn't even know you were being conditioned that way. The true classification of emotional and mental abuse, let's look it up. I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show you with pictures. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm creative. And I generally need to see pictures. Pictures teach a lot. Okay, this is exactly what I just said. All of these things, there is emotional abuse there. This has such a great impact on us. And it doesn't have to. We can literally be free from this. And I want to say that there's a lot of women who are experiencing this right now, but I know that there's a lot of men also. So I'm not going to say it's only women. But women do experience this more so because of some social mores that have also been thrown on top of women. Different than the social mores that have been thrown on top of men. If that makes sense. Do you see this, YB? parenting. Emotional abuse in parenting and mental abuse in parenting is prevalent only because, guess what? Your parents were not given a manual on how to raise you. They probably didn't know how to raise you. And most likely, as you will do also with your own kids, because you won't have a manual either, you're going to go by what you have already learned. So, if your parents were treated the similar ways that they treated you, which they probably were, and if you remained unaware, meaning I didn't have this stream to tell you the truth, and you just gleefully went on with your life in certain times of depression and certain times of happiness and had kids, everything you learned from your parents would immediately come back to you with your own kids. And you might say, oh, my parents physically abused me, but I'll never do that to my kid. Yes, you will. And the reason is not because you wanted to, but because that's what you learned. You only know that, so you are only going to do what you have learned. Does that make sense? Parenting and being abusive goes hand in hand if your own parents also experienced abuse. And I can tell you this, many parents have. Many parents who, either wanting to become parents or not wanting to become parents, were not ready for parenting. And just looking at you guys, I can tell you, you're probably not ready for parenting. Maybe you're a parent and you're like, yeah, I'm not ready for parenting. Because the truth is, none of us is fully equipped to birth a human being and somehow make that human being what we quote unquote think is a good standing citizen for a society. You know why? Because there is no book on that. Yeah, there may be parenting books, but you didn't get one. They didn't get one when they were having you. And the situation that they were in, financially in some cases, emotionally with their own parents and issues they may have had with their parents, your grandparents, could have all been affecting those things. And this is literally stuff we don't think about, but it is the truth. And as much as many of us want to grow up blaming our parents and say, oh, I'm never going to be like my parents. I'm never going to do the things that my parents did. You will. And it's not because you want to. You will simply because you did not learn any other way. You haven't learned another way yet, so you can't say that you won't. Because you only go by what you learned. For instance, I'll give you an example, another example of parenting. My stepfather, of course I'm only going to always ever use my experiences because I've been there. All my experience is what I have to share with other people. My stepfather was abusive. Yes, there's no hand holding because this is a stream about truth. and I will hold your hand. In a way, the truth does hand hold. Yes, it hurts, but I will never tell you the truth in a way that's truly painful or putting you down. If that makes sense. I will tell you the truth in a way that empowers you rather than makes you feel less worthy, if that makes sense. Because that doesn't help any of us. As you guys have seen from our own parents, that hasn't helped us. You know, the quote-unquote brutal things that people have told us, they haven't helped us. And if you're going to be brutal and you're not going to help the person or be kind with them when they need it, some people, they need that kindness, right away. And some people need the truth straight up and then the kindness. It depends on where we are in our healing, right? But in my situation, as I was saying, my stepdad was abusive. He was he was verbally abusive. He was definitely physically abusive. And he was an alcoholic and a drug addict, right? So this was my upbringing. I grew up constantly feeling unworthy, constantly being told I was dumb, I wasn't good enough, all the things that we hear. And I know I'm not the only one. I used to feel like I must be the only one. I'm the only one going through this. Why? What's wrong with me that I'm the only one experiencing this? This is how I used to think. And that line of thinking led me to more relationships that were exactly like the relationship with my stepfather. I often felt unheard, unworthy, like if they knew the real me, they wouldn't want to be with me, and so on and so forth. I only dated and was attracted to people who had some kind of addiction to something. Why? Why was my romantic attraction almost exactly the same as my relationship with my parents? Did you ever ask yourself that? Do you guys even think about that? No, most of us don't. But when you become aware and you put the pieces together, you start to see that the only relational map you have ever had is with your parents. So that relationship literally drives all your future relationships and who you're attracted to, who you're going to spend your time with. Why do you like one girl over another girl? Why do you like one guy over another guy? The answer is exactly what I just told you. You're only going to be attracted to the people who fits your relational map. And that's the truth of it. The most wonderful, amazing person could like you and be amazing for you and literally be your real soulmate, but you'll never find that person because you're only looking at what you're used to and your relational map in the subconscious. Up here, where you guys don't see me pointing, I don't have my leaf motion. But up here, this is what's making your decisions. It feels like it's your heart, but it's not. Your experience, your past, is what has led you to your current present. Does that make sense? And you want to know the crazier part about it? Is that your own mom and dad, your grandparents, also were led by the same factors. So, if you think about the immensity of this issue, thank you so much, YB. I hope I was able to help you. If not, message me in Discord, because I do have your Discord, and I'll send you more information on this. More than even just this, like deeper, in-depth information. I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much. So this experience of having an abusive relationship from my home life led me to abusive romantic relationships. And that is what led me on the path to eventually, where I am now, finding freedom. And I want that. I want that for everyone. Because when I had that, when I finally felt safe to be myself, to say what I want, not to be hit for speaking, not to be put down for my opinion, and actually listened to instead of invalidated, dude, that is life-changing. And it changed the type of people I even keep around me, the type of people that I allow in my life. Because before I didn't know I had a choice in that either. Oh, this person likes me, so I'm going to spend time with this person. Because I'm unlikable, right? I'm so unlikable, so if someone likes me, this is the only person I'm ever going to get. This is the only person I may ever find, right? That's the thinking when you're little. But as an adult, no. I have a choice in whether or not this person is going to be in my life, in what capacity, and how close I'm going to allow them to get to me. In dating, if this person is abusive, I'm not going to date this person. I'm not going to spend time with this person. And this kind of freedom is literally what leads to so much self-empowerment. And not only that, but what I've noticed, as I showed you guys on my Reddit, the empowerment of others. And isn't that what life is about? Spreading the knowledge that you get, sharing what you know, and being able to help others to come out of their chains that are binding them. That's why I couldn't do something else or be something else other than who I am as a VTuber, because no one has lived quite the life that I have. And the way that I've been able to come through the things that I have experienced, all these types of abuses, but not only that, learning about relationships in general, and addictions in general, and objectification in general, and what it means to define people and myself in general, these things, only I would be able to share them in the exact way that I'm able to share them, if that makes sense. So I want to thank you guys, those of you who did stay through this OP and Reddit advice portion of my stream. I definitely have much more to share on these topics, but it is 10 o'clock. I promised myself a schedule, so I'm going to stream Back for Blood. If you guys want to play with me and join me, I'd love that. If you don't, that's fine too. It was great having you guys and everybody that helped me in the beginning of the stream. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna start up the game for us, and give me a second here. I'm just learning how to do this. As I do, if you guys have any other questions or if you want to talk about this more in depth, I'm happy to do so at my Discord, which I will share with you guys. Actually, I think it may be on my page. I can't see my page. It is. You know what, Ray? And that's the thing, this kind of reflection, imagine doing this for years. That's the girl you're talking to right now. I literally did this kind of reflection every day for years to get myself out of the situation I was in to where I am now. It was hard, and it was not, I wouldn't say by any means it was easy, but it was 1,000% worth it, because I will never again be a victim to anyone's anything except by choice. And knowing that I have a choice really freed me. In ways that, oh my gosh, it was mind-blowing. And it is mind-blowing. And that's what I want to share with everyone. Before I die, that's my job. Sharing the love and sharing the wisdom. I have to do this. I know it's heavy, but you're not alone. Because I'm here. And I'm here to help you through the reflection. To talk about those times. To go back to those times, but in a place where you feel safe. Because the truth is, Ray, you are safe now. You were not safe before because you didn't know. Does that make sense? By us not knowing, we are literally unsafe in our own lives because we're reliving our past, if that makes sense. Not the actual past, but the dynamic of our past. You're reliving that every time, reliving it. But knowing and being aware of it, that's where the freedom comes in. Can you see why that is? Okay, I'm not sure why Back for Blood is not playing. Let me figure this out for you. Yeah, it's literally because, like, okay, I like to put it this way, even for those of us who are not females, but when you wear a veil, just for a minute, guys, pretend you're wearing a veil too. And you're wearing that veil, all you can see is through that veil. You can only see shadows of images of what I like to call the truth, right? You see shadows. And then you meet someone, hopefully me, but hopefully someone else too, that lifts the veil and shows you something that you didn't see before. Lifting the veil is at once scary, but it's also super empowering. Yeah, and you know what? That stage is actually a great stage because when you look back on your life, when you realize how much choice you can express and how much choice you did express, because right now, as we're talking about it, you might feel like, okay, I have a choice in this, but maybe I don't have a choice in this, right? You have literally a choice in all of this, right? But take it one step at a time. I'm happy during this choice time of yours to hold your hand through this, only because I've been through this. I've been there. I can't get Back for Blood to play. I don't know how to do it. But since I've been through it, I can also help you with the hard steps, the ones I've already taken, because I promise you I cannot help you with steps I haven't taken yet. And I will not pretend, I'm not arrogant. I'm not going to pretend I know what you should do in a certain situation if I don't know. I'll tell you, I don't know, but let's find the answers together, right? So, the thing about it is, the fact that you're even aware that these problems are happening, that you might have a choice in them now of how you're going to deal with it, you're 1,000 times better off than you were yesterday when you're like, why is this happening to me? Why is all this stuff happening? It must be because I'm unworthy. It must be because I'm not good enough. It must be because I don't know enough. It must be because I'm not lovable, right? All those things suddenly takes the back seat to the truth. What can I still do in this situation? I have control over this. It doesn't matter if my little voice is telling me I'm not good enough. It doesn't matter that my little voice is telling me I'm not lovable. I'm choosing now. You get to choose. And maybe you might get to the point where I was, where you're like, I'm afraid. Now I can choose, but what if I make a mistake? What if I mess all of this up? Right? The thing is, you might mess it up, but you're enough. And whatever you do make mistakes in, it's okay. Only your parents taught you that it wasn't okay to make mistakes. But it is actually okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Your parents made the mistake in certain ways that they were treating you as a child. In certain ways that they dealt with you as a child. in certain situations. They were making mistakes financially, probably, because there's no manual on that when you have kids either. None of these things are your fault. The only thing that you can control is yourself. If you make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay to make a mistake, even if that's a life-changing mistake. Because why? You can learn from that mistake. And the next time that thing comes up, you won't make the same mistake. You know why? Because you have awareness now. The awareness is literally life-saving. We don't make the same mistakes that we've become aware of. We make mistakes of things we're not aware of. Yes, you have been conditioned. Yes, and the thing is, knowing that is huge. I think you should give yourself a reward for today. It doesn't matter what it is, however you like to reward yourself, that you even realize that. Because that realization means that you can question that now. Can't you? I feel so conditioned that I should never fail. I know it's okay to make mistakes in my mind, because that's what I've heard, but my heart says I'm so conditioned that I should never fail. Right? Question that. Why does my heart say that? When did I first hear that? When did I first learn that? And when you go back to that place, you can question even that experience. School. And school is a place where there's a group of children led by someone who has not been trained in parenting and likely not been trained in how to teach kids. They simply maybe had the desire to teach kids. That does not mean school is the be-all end-all, right? Because school taught you those things. But is it true for you now? Is it true for you today? Does it empower you today? Because you know who has control over what empowers you? You do. You can take that thought and say, F off. That doesn't empower me today. I'm not going to go by that today. I'm going to choose what does empower me today. And I'm going to make choices based on that today. Does that make sense? I'm not sure why Back for Blood is not playing, by the way. I apologize, you guys. Okay, I'm getting bigger, but Back for Blood is not here. Yeah. I hope some of this is... Yeah, I am chock full of useful things that you probably never thought of. And the reason is, you just haven't learned it yet. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to teach it to you. People tell me this all the time. I never thought of that. That's really helpful. I never thought of that. Yes, you're right. The reason is, I've done this work. I have literally asked those questions. That's why I'm asking you to ask them. Because once you go backwards into your past and you ask those questions, you can also determine what is empowering to you and what was not. What is empowering to you today at your current age and what was not at that age. And you can change, literally, like I said before, unlearn the things that you've been taught in school. and taught at home and taught by friends. Sometimes when we were younger, for instance me, my friends used to beat me up, right? So not only did I get beat up at home, but I got beat up by my friends. There was a time where I believed that getting beat up by my friends is a natural, normal thing because I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, and I'm always doing things wrong. I'm always failing, which is why I became a perfectionist as an adult. Fail, I get beat up. Make a mistake, I get beat up. So guess what? I tried not to make mistakes. And then suddenly mistakes were taboo. Right? Where did I learn that? I learned that from those experiences. But is that helpful to me as an adult? It's not. Because being a perfectionist leads me to literally being unhappy. Almost all the time. Because the truth is, what I found out as an adult, I'm never going to be perfect. I'm literally, no matter how hard I try, no matter what I do, nothing is going to be perfect. Yeah, some things might feel perfect, but they're not actually perfect. I'm still going to make mistakes, and so are you, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to never fail. Failing is actually something that teaches you. Having the consequences, and I'll go over that in another stream because I'm still trying to get us up back for blood. Having the consequences of your actions teaches you. It's good. Consequences are an amazing thing. We should give people their consequences, and we often don't. We save people. We save people's face who are mistreating us instead of calling them out and letting them have their consequences. There was a story in a book that I heard. It was about addiction, but it still applies to consequence. This is what it looks like in dating and in family. My kid is stealing from me every day. He's stealing from me to go buy drugs, right? That's what the parents said to the psychologist. My kid is stealing from me. They're stealing from me. They're threatening my life. I have this huge problem. And then the psychologist says, oh, well, have you tried removing them from the house? No, I haven't. I would never remove them from the house. I quote unquote love them. Of course they're going to have a bed to sleep in no matter what. Okay, well, have you tried not keeping your money in the place where they can steal it? No, I keep my money out. I don't see any reason why that should change. And they're like, what should I do? I have this huge problem. My son is this huge problem. And this is what the psychologist says. Your problem is not your son. Your son doesn't have any problems. You have taken all the problems away from your son. So that anything your son could learn by experiencing the consequences of stealing from you, he's not learning because you're doing it all. You leave your money out. You're not giving your son any consequences for his behavior. He has no reason to see he should change. Does that make sense? The consequence would have led the son, even if he was homeless, to maybe think, hey, I should quit doing drugs because this is what it has led to. Hey, maybe I should respect my parents and not steal money from them because now I'm on the street and in my parents' house, at least I had a bed. All I needed to do was respect them. Does that make sense? We take on the consequences for people that we should not. You making those mistakes, don't rob yourself of your consequences. You're going to be able to learn from those. You're good enough and smart enough and strong enough because you just literally said you realized you're conditioned. You're strong enough to know to be able to learn from those consequences. So make mistakes. It's okay to make those mistakes. You're going to be better off for them. What's not okay is not being aware of them, is hiding from the truth. That's not okay. And the reason is it only hurts you. It's not hurting anyone else. It's not their problem because you're not letting people have their consequences. If you let people have their consequences, if you allow yourself the freedom to make those mistakes, there will be so much freedom in there. There will be so much empowerment in there. And your self-worth, believe it or not, will increase. Like the muscle we were talking about in the gym with YB. That muscle needs time to grow and get strong. And that muscle actually grows to be super, super swole. To the point where you're okay with making mistakes. You accept your imperfections. You accept other people's imperfections. And you'll still be able to love other people regardless of what choices they make. But you will know that that's their choice. And you don't have to deal with their choice if you don't want to. Does that make sense? I'm still trying to get this game up for us. Yeah, so it is heavy, it is heavy reflection right now, but at the same time, look how much stronger you are today from just having these thoughts than, say, yesterday or last week where you were literally trying to forget about it or ignore it or do something else to forget about it. That action, that's our past. That is what led us to, our unhappiness in certain situations. That hiding is what leads us to overall unhappiness. It's the coming to the light, so to speak, for lack of a better term, that leads us to the truth of things which we then can change. You can't change something that you're hiding. And you can't change something that's in the dark. It's just not possible. If you keep wearing the mask, which I did, so hey, those of you who want to wear the mask, go ahead, it's fine. I don't judge you for it. But if you keep wearing the mask, yeah, exactly. Resolving this current one is literally going to set you up for future ones. So, why not? And I'm offering myself, as I always do, why not us talk about this, discuss this particular toxic relationship, work through this toxic relationship, what it has led to and where it has come from, so that you can move away from it and move out of it into a healthier space. Because really, you know that you deserve that in your mind. Your heart takes a little longer sometimes to catch up with you. Sometimes it's like we can know something in theory, right? But we don't fully believe it with all of our actions and our words yet. That's kind of where you are. It's like a part of you knows, I deserve better than this. I shouldn't be accepting this. And I don't like being around this person. But the part of you that's stuck in the past is used to this specific behavior, this conditioning, like we said. So that part of you might stay and be like, no, we deserve this. This is how it's always been, and this is how it's always going to be. The small voice part of you, though, that's the part that we want to make strong. And you can. It's just like the muscle in the gym. It's literally, I always use that analogy because it's literally like that. When you first pick up that weight, it's so heavy. When you first try to walk after months and months and months in bed, oh my God, it's so hard. It's so hard to even just walk and stay standing. Sometimes you feel like you have to sit back down because you've been, bedridden. I know, because this has happened to me too, but that's another stream. But my point is, it's very, very difficult at first. But with me, with the truth on your back, it's not going to be difficult forever, right? Because you have support. And I may be stretching it a bit here, but I believe all 5, 2, 1, however many else of us are in here would want to support you in that. You know why? Because they've been through it. They've experienced it too. Anyone who has had this experience can immediately relate to you in this. So you're not alone. When we're young, we're always thinking, I'm alone in this. Nobody else is experiencing this the way I am. But it's not true. You're literally not alone. And as you have grown up and you've spoken to more and more people out here who have been through the same experience, now you know you're not alone. You have to. And that little voice inside you probably knows the truth. It's just that you're not alone. And so because you're not alone, you have support. You can go through this. You can get out of this toxic relationship, toxic friendship, and you can resolve this current one and change the future for all future ones. And not just friendships, romantic relationships, work relationships. The thing about toxicity is it's like a virus. It literally goes into every aspect of your life if you let it, especially for children who have grown up in abusive relationships. It will literally permeate your entire life if you stay unaware. But thanks to you have no idea right now how happy I am that I've had this stream. I always say, even if I just stream for one person, but it helps them, it's worth it, however much time I spend, because this is literally why I'm here. I want to help you with this. I want you to be able to take the steps and learn to get out of this toxic friendship. And my job was done here. I'm still going to teach us, how to make a beat in FL Studio, and somehow I'm going to get back for blood running, but this is literally why I do what I do. What you said today and this issue that you're having right now, that is why I'm here. I want to help with this, not just here on the stream, but anywhere. I know, and I don't know if you have joined my Discord, and if you haven't, that's okay too. You're in your timing. I'm not rushing you or anything. I'm not even asking you to join. But if you want to delve deeper into this, which I believe there's a small part of you that does, and that's good enough. That's all you need, is that small part. Okay, wonderful. So we will talk more about this. I promise you, right? That small part is the same as that small tiny part for me when my ex-boyfriend said, sit the fuck down. That went off in my head that said, I've been here before. Yeah, I haven't heard it from this person, but I'm repeating a pattern, and I don't know what that pattern is, but I feel the same exact way every single time. Why? That little voice is going off in your head right now. And I hope, in however small a way, I can be a part of that change for you. Because I know that you can get out of that toxic friendship. And there's ways not only to just get away from that toxic friendship, but there's tools available to you to help you while still inside that toxic friendship that still empower you, believe it or not. And it may not seem like that to you right now, but it's totally possible. And I know because I've been there. I've had so many toxic friends. Not now, but in the past. I've not only had toxic relationships, toxic bosses, but also toxic friends. And I have found the way to become free from that. And I want that for you. I want that for everyone. I don't have a way of talking to everyone, so even if it's just one person, literally at a time, that's good enough for me. That's worth all my time. You are worth all my time, and you don't have to do jack shit to be worth it. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make you cry. If it's any consolation, I also have, and I'm sure you can hear it, I have little butterflies in my throat as well. But literally, that's why I came to Twitch. So I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and that means everything to me. I'm going to talk to you more about this, and I'm going to teach you everything I know if you want to learn. I will teach you everything I know, and that applies to all of you. Because literally I have nothing else to do before my death but that. It's teach as much as I've learned to as many people as I can before I go. Yeah, I know, huh? It's a great feeling, isn't it? I'm gonna ask you something that's gonna be another little jab, but I'll do it softly with my sweet face, my VTuber face. Don't you think this is how your friends should be with you? This treatment that I'm giving you right now, the love that I'm showing you, if I, a person who you've just met, who you probably haven't shared as much with, can love you this way, don't you think they should love you as much? Your friends who are calling you their friend and saying that you're their friend. Because what really is a friend, Ray, if it's not this? If it's not exactly what we're talking about right now? Yeah, I know. And that's the kind of blueprint you want to use for your future friends. The future people that you are going to call friends, they should at least be this invested in you as I am. If you're going to call somebody your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friend, they should be behaving this way with you. People oftentimes in the Reddit breakup, they're like, wow, you've shown me so much love, you have made me feel so great. And I often tell them, don't you think the person you love should be treating you this way? I don't even know you, and I love you more than they do. You deserve better. You do. You have shared however many months and years with this person. And yet, the love I have for you, they should be showing that more. They should be expressing that more if they are truly your friend, if they are truly your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife. But they don't. And the reason they don't is because of choices we have made in choosing unavailable, unemotional, abusive people to be our mates and our friends and our co-workers. Why? That's what I want you to ask yourself. Why? The answer is exactly what I started the stream with. Your own relational pattern that you have grown up with is following you throughout your entire life. And let's change that together. you can be empowered from that. You can get out of that. You don't even have to live that life. You are not that little kid anymore. You have the power of an adult. The little kid is living inside of you still, and you need to stop ignoring that little kid. You need to start talking to that little kid. But that's another stream. By simply taking the option of recognizing that you have a choice, which you have come to that point, right? And I think all of you have after this stream, hopefully. But by taking that initiative, that's enough. That's all you need. You're literally on your way. And like I said, I know that this is only my first time, and I know that you may not know me, but if you want, I will literally share with you and take the time to teach you everything I have learned in this journey of mine, because you deserve it. You all deserve it. And that knowledge is what will lead you to the freedom. A freedom like you've never known. And I say you've never known it because since childhood, you didn't know it. You only have that one map that you're working from. It's time to change that map. And you can. Because look, there's Google. Let's say this was our map. I'm going to give you another visual. I love teaching with visuals. I don't know why. But here is a visual. So we have this. I don't have Chrome open. Okay, that's craziness. Let me add one. Thank you guys for your patience. Does what I'm saying to you guys make sense? Has it at least helped you a little bit in the sense that you're understanding certain things more? Okay, I'm gonna go here. Thank you. Okay, so here's a map. Maps. Okay, this is a huge map, so this might not be the best, but here's maps. Okay, go to this. Alright, this is you in your in your current lifestyle that you're living in. This map is how you function, basically. You use this map to determine where you're going, what you're doing, what you will accept, what you will not accept, and so on, if that makes sense. Now, I show you another map. I tell you, oh yeah, you're using that, but you can also use this. So you can use this. Then I not only tell you that you can also use this map, but you can actually create your own lines within this map. You can create your own map, if that makes sense. This is what we are doing day by day, and this is what I have done with my map. My love relationships, my family relationship, my work relationship, it all started with that old map. This unusable, only some pieces could be transferred into my new map, which I changed, if that makes sense. We're changing the map because when you change the map, you actually become empowered. You're creating, if you will, or raising, if you will, yourself now. Yes, you have your parents, the things your parents taught you, but now is your time to create your own life. based on the knowledge that I'm sharing with you, you will be able to. Why? Because I'm showing you a new map. You're writing a new map for yourself. Your eyes have been opened, so to speak. So with this new map, there is also cursive. If you try to read this and you have not been taught, you are not going to know how to read this. Actually, just for a show of hands and because I'm curious, does anybody know how to read this? Do any of you, have you ever seen cursive? Cursive can look like hieroglyphics to somebody who's never seen it before, right? This is your new relationships. Literally, this cursive is what it's going to look like, your new relationship. Yes, cursed cursive. Exactly, Chesty. So, when you find new relationships, the bane of your third grade? I know, probably the bane of most people's. But I use this image to say this. If you don't know how to read cursive, you need someone to teach you, right? You need to find someone who does know how to read cursive, because you're meeting in your new life safe people, aka a bunch of people writing in cursive. You're not going to be able to relate to those people or accept those people until you learn how to read cursive. Does that make sense? Whoops, I'm showing my... I don't know how this Twitch things work, so I apologize. I was only trying to show the cursive. So, by further review, we can zoom in, we can do whatever, but we need to, one at a time, look at every letter of the alphabet and learn how to write that letter. That's what this journey is exactly like. Going from an abusive situation to a healthy situation and a healthy relationship is going to be like, yes, exactly. This new perspective and new way to look at things, it changes us. But while it's changing us, the important thing is to learn how to deal with the old while we're getting rid of those older habits and starting to incorporate the new habits. So I say that to say this. With hopefully these streams and definitely with my videos, I plan on teaching, so to speak, how to read cursive and write cursive. But before you can read cursive, you have to write cursive. You have to learn the letters. And the letters are not always easy, and it takes practice. Just like I was saying with working out at the gym. We're going to be lifting together. We're going to be starting with 2-pound weights. Then we're going to be going to 5-pound weights. Then we're going to be going to 7-pound weights, right? So, in order to even just get through 2-pound weights, we might need a spotter. We might need a break. We might need to have water on the side. All of this is a process. Learning these things is going to be a process. But at the end of it is going to be a happier Ray who supports herself and doesn't get into toxic friendships or relationships. A Ray that is able to deal with her family in a different way, which is safe for her, but still loving to them. And the important thing is that it's safe. It's safe for you. Your relationships will become something that's safe for you instead of something that's unhealthy and dangerous for you. That's where you want to be, and that's where you will get to. With the knowledge that I give you, you can do what you want. If you decide to say, I've learned all of this, I'm glad I've learned this, but I'm not ready to make this change, that's fine too. My job is not to change you. My job is only to be here to give you the information if and when you want it. Changing people is not my thing. I've given that up a long time ago. Becoming a people pleaser, that's victim mentality. Victim mentality is not something that's necessary anymore. Once you stop being a victim, you also stop needing validation from people, and you also stop needing to change people. You start to realize, well, people are going to either change on their own or they're not, and either way, that's fine. They don't have to. No one has to do anything. The only thing that's up to you is what you can do, what's in your control to do. And that's where I want to empower you. I want to show you the things that you can still do, and I want to share with you the knowledge of things that you can try to get to that place where you can leave that toxic friendship behind and start new friendships with people who care about you, like I do, and probably more than me. You want to meet people who are going to support you in what you're trying to do, and not people who verbally abuse you, and not people who physically abuse you, or emotionally abuse you and guilt trip you and things like this, or try to manipulate you. Because those friendships are the past. The past has set you up for that. But you're not in the past. You're in today. And you still have today to take the hold of the reins and do what you can with today. Today is not over. And you also have tomorrow. If you want to just sit in what I've taught you today and what I've shared with you today, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I highly suggest to do it.
It's like a silence.